Here's how we made a music video filled with practical special effects using pretty much only household objects.
Hey, I'm Amy Ray. How are y'all? I think we're going to talk about the song Chuck Will's Widow. This song was inspired by a bird called the Chuck Will's Widow, and they have a really specific song. I started hearing it incessantly one night, and I was thinking about that bird and feeling like the bird sounded kind of lonely. I am a night owl. I stay up all night long. And I was thinking about like how that is my favorite time, and I wondered why they would just sing that same song over and over again. And so that just started the whole song for me, and then it became all about my neighbors and my neighborhood and being grumpy and not being grumpy and how to cheer myself up. And it's supposed to be like a healing song. For me, with my songs, like for videos, I basically send lyrics in the song, and I'm like, it doesn't have to follow the song, just come up with something, you know, that you like.
So we've done several music videos with Amy Ray. If you're not familiar with Amy, she is one half of the Indigo Girls. We've done multiple music videos with her so far. We did one Indigo Girls music video last year.
We've had a really cool and awesome working relationship with Amy. She really puts her heart and soul and, you know, shares bits and pieces of her life and what she's dealing with and what she's experiencing. But she allows us with the music video to reinterpret that art and kind of add a whole nother narrative flair to it.
Brad and I sat down and we thought maybe we could do something with stop motion. And that was kind of where we started. We were like, stop motion would be really fun, but it would also be really hard, and we need to finish this video pretty quick. This is like a summer release and she wants to get it out this summer. And at this point, we were already in late June.
We tried shifting it, you know, we wanted to make a rock monster, stop motion, and then kept on hitting a wall. It just never felt right. Sometimes that happens when you're thinking and brainstorming. You don't have ideas. Sometimes you end up and you're like, well, I gotta go back and figure it out tomorrow.
The stop motion didn't seem feasible, but we thought maybe there's some ways we could incorporate the feeling of stop motion, sort of the artistic vibe of stop motion. The story we ended up coming up with was about two mannequins who come to life. Well, in the past we've done a lot of sci-fi type videos for her. We've done a lot of science fiction music videos for Amy. She came to us and said she wanted to do something different this time.
Chuck Will's Widow, which is the new video, kind of carries on that continuation. It's not as much sci-fi, but it still has that whimsical feel. I think it has that Sosa Bear trademark.
I got this idea back about this whole thing happening in a closed down department store, and these like sort of playful creatures creating havoc and just sort of their antics during the night. And I loved it because it's kind of zany and it's super creative.
Chuck Will's Widow is very much, you know, a story about the security guard and these mannequins that come to life, and they're kind of holed up in this closed down store. He's trying to catch them, and then eventually he comes to terms with what they are.
Amy talks about the song. She says a lot of it's about healing, a lot of it's about, you know, people just doing what's in their nature to do. And so it's sort of in these mannequins' nature to get up to mischief and to make things. They make all kinds of artistic, you know, creations. To achieve all this, we had to make a lot of props.
One thing I love especially about Zozo Bear is the set building that goes into it and all the creativity that goes into set design. And it's normally like using things like cardboard and construction paper and string. It's a very whimsical set. And I just love that idea because I wanted to do something different.
Because it's these mannequins and they're all in this abandoned store, there's a ton of cardboard.
So a lot of the props in this music video were made out of cardboard, and it just so happens my wife and I are having a baby right now, and so we are ordering all kinds of stuff online for the nursery, and a lot of them came in large cardboard boxes.
Luke basically was like, we need to find all of the cardboard in town. I went into Starbucks and they were like, we're getting a shipment, come on Wednesday and we'll have so many boxes for you. I go back the next day, and when I walk in, I'm talking to the same person, and I was like, hey, I came in yesterday by the boxes, I'm here for them. He was like, we just threw them away. So I had to dumpster dive at Starbucks for these boxes. And when I mean dumpster dive, I mean I got in that dumpster.
You know, in the story of the music video, the mannequins end up taking the boxes and turning them into, you know, fun, playful things.
The mannequins create their own campfire using a fan and tissue paper. They make their own cardboard car. They cut out a bunch of stars. They're hanging above them and they can lay under them and pretend they're looking at the night sky even though they're trapped in a department store. Ultimately, it's really just them using their imagination.
And they just want to have fun and they're mischievous. They're kind of nymph-like. It's one of those things, it's just fun. The song's great and I think the video really captures that vibe while still being its own thing.
For the car scenes, we wanted to have a moving background, and the original thought was maybe we could cut out cardboard trees, things like that we could put on a big roll of paper and just pull it behind them like it's moving. The more we talked about that, the more we realized that's going to be really hard to pull off, and a much easier way to do that would be with projection. On The Mandalorian, they use a LED volume, they call it. It's basically a giant LED screen. It looks so realistic though. It looks like they're actually on location.
The Mandalorian and what they've done with the volume has really revolutionized, I think, visual effects and combining it with special effects.
So for us, we thought, what if we take that concept and we project behind them, we project on both sides of them.
We don't have any projectors in the office and we only have so many laptops, so I went out and we ended up buying a projector from Walmart. Next day, I was able to go to the library, go to the school library, and I got 2 more projectors, 2 laptops to use to connect everything, and it ended up working out really, really great. Luke had stayed up one night and made a bunch of trees that he had glued down to a bigger piece of cardboard to use for the projection.
We cut out little cardboard trees and filmed those on a miniature set. That way we're not having to make a really giant background that's pulling behind them. We just film a little miniature, project it behind them. Simple enough concept. It was a little harder to execute than we thought. We actually tested it in my garage. We set up a couple of big pieces of cardboard and styrofoam on either side of the car. It looked pretty great in the garage. We had a background, we had both sides going, and we had some pretty cool looking test footage.
Once we got to the location, the room we were using was way larger, and we found out that really we could get what we needed with just one projector.
And unfortunately, sometimes that's what happens when you're unable to have a true-to-life size or scale for your rehearsal. Sometimes when you get to set, things aren't quite right. Even though we couldn't do exactly what we thought, we could still get a really cool-looking final image by just using the brightest projector.
They throw snow up into the air, and so I was like, I want to throw snow. So I asked them, I was like, hey, can I throw a little snow? They're like, yeah, sure. So we started throwing snow and everyone got handfuls and was throwing it. And then Luke had this idea. He was like, well, you know the thing that you've been using for the haze, you could put the snow on top of that and you can kind of shake it over them and see if we could do that.
To create the campfire, we took an old box fan and some tissue paper. I went around the outside edges taping the red tissue paper, and then I worked my way in with orange tissue paper, and then in the center, yellow tissue paper. Underneath it, even though in the story they're using the security guard's mag light, when we started filming, we actually used a smaller LED panel.
We had to make this prop that was basically just a huge sheet that would have a bunch of stars hanging down on it. So for this shot, it was going to be the 2 mannequins laying underneath the stars looking at it. We luckily found this huge piece of cardboard that we could fold in half, and we laid it all out. I cut out about 500 stars. that was a lot. We made it work. I made it in the office, and it ended up looking really, really awesome. It was heartbreaking throwing away the stars. It was my magnum opus.
All these things were basically trash that we were going to throw away. We ended up using as props.
Overall, the shoot went really well. If you didn't notice in the video, there were the scariest mannequins I've ever seen in my entire life on this set. Way too realistic, super uncanny valley. There was also one of the most terrifying things I've ever seen on set. In this back area, there's a light stand with a mannequin head just stuck on it, and it's like so...
So that's how we made a music video full of practical special effects using household objects. Now if you want to see the video, it's by Amy Ray. It's called Chuck Will's Widow. There's a link in the description. Check it out. I think you might like it.
It's kind of full of whimsy, which I really think is perfect for the song, because I want the song to be not totally dark and brooding, but more like that sad ache in a whimsical, happy way, if that's possible.
They had these little boxes towards the front of the store.
It was big enough for a person to fit inside, and Jake was like, let's put Sam in one of these boxes and see how long it'll take for anyone to notice.
So we put it to the test. Jake went out there with Luke and Brad. In the meantime, I got in the box. We noticed that there's just these nails poking out of the side.
So I was like, whatever you do, Sam, watch out for these, don't move, and if you can't breathe, come on out.
I bet 5 minutes, but they noticed in just 30 seconds. Brad's very perceptive like that.
I voted for 10, but should have known better. Brad's too perceptive.
I felt very appreciated.
Overall, it was a really funny prank. Probably cost us like 10 minutes worth of work, but it was worth it.
That's why I know this.